The news is loving you guys. Nobody else is, Miss Hill said. Mr. Stark was talking to her through the communications monitor. There's been no official call for Banner's arrest, but it's in the air. Stark Relief Foundation? Mr. Stark asked. For what I had gathered, Hulk had taken it upon himself to destroy about 20% of an entire city. There were bound to be casualties. Already on the scene, Miss Hill informed him, and Mr. Stark nodded. How's the team? Everyone's... Mr. Stark stopped and looked over his shoulder to us. We took a hit. We'll shake it off. I scoffed. Well, for now, I'd stay in stealth mode, Miss Hill recommended. And stay away from here. So, run and hide? Mr. Stark said. Until we can find Ultron, I don't have a lot else to offer, Miss Hill said. Yeah, neither do we, Mr. Stark said, ending the conversation. He walked over to the pilot's seat where Agent Barton, the only one who still looked like himself, was flying us somewhere. Hey, Mr. Stark said, catching his attention. You want to switch out? No, I'm good, Agent Barton said. If you want to get some kip, now's a good time, 'cause we're still a few hours out. I rose my eyes a little. He seemed to have a destination in mind. A few hours from where? Mr. Stark asked. A safe house, Agent Barton said. A safe house seemed like a good call right about now. I certainly felt vulnerable. Agent Barton probably had a couple of them around the world. Or at least he knew of some. From his days in S.H.I.E.L.D., I assumed. Secret government organizations surely had safe houses to spare. And now that S.H.I.E.L.D. was extinct, those houses must have been abandoned, waiting for occasions like this one. Mr. Stark nodded and looked at the rest of the team. No one met his gaze. I couldn't raise my head to look at anyone. Even if I could, there wasn't anyone to look at. No one to turn to for comfort. No one that would understand. Kid, Mr. Stark said. I hadn't realized he had taken the seat beside me, away from everyone else. Are you okay? I scoffed. Yeah, I lied. I'm fine. Are you sure? You looked pretty shaken up when we found you, he pressed. I swallowed. I didn't know if I should talk to him about it or not. But the knot on my throat wasn't going away. Mr. Stark had been through enough drama too. Maybe be able to help me out. Or at least offer a friendly ear. I struggled to get the words out. She took me back to that day. I darted my eyes towards him, to check if he was following, and then back to the floor. When I did that to Raymond, I couldn't bring myself to verbalize what I had actually done. That I had killed Raymond, my own father. He shifted on his seat but didn't say anything. Maybe he was thinking about what to say. Maybe he was judging me. I was too afraid to look. I relived it, I said, shuddering, biting my cheeks as to not cry. It felt like I was there. You weren't, he said, but it felt like it. I snapped, desperate. He placed a hand on my back. But you weren't, he repeated. You're okay. I nodded, wanting to believe him. My nod turned into a headshake. If I see that girl again, I trailed off. I think there will be a queue, he noted, patting my back. He stood up and gave my shoulder an encouraging squish, and he left to sit somewhere else. I wondered how long it would take us to get to the safe house, and I wondered how long it would take me to not feel like shit. The Quinjet finally landed, but it wasn't until the ramp opened that I cared to check what was outside. It was a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Agent Barton had parked us too far for my taste, so we had to walk. He led us to the house while holding Agent Romanoff tightly. She seemed to have taken a serious blow and was pretty out of it. She was in a trance, as if she were still seeing whatever horrors that witch had compelled on her. Thor looked angry, or maybe focused, and he followed close behind, next to Mr. Stark. Rogers looked serious. He was hiding his true feelings. I thought maybe he was trying to focus on what step to take next. Dr. Banner and I were the last in line. He hadn't spoken since the whole Hulk incident, and he walked glumly after them and close to me. I didn't really want to speak either. So we were the perfect company for each other. "What is this place?" Thor asked when we got to the porch of the house. "A safe house," Mr. Stark offered. "Let's hope," Agent Barton said, opening the door. We entered the house and turned right into a well-lit living room. There were toys on the floor, I noticed, and Legos. I used to have Legos. I lost them in my third foster home. Another kid stole them. "Honey," Agent Barton called. "I'm home." "Honey?" I repeated to myself. A very pregnant woman appeared around the corner, baffling us all. "Hi. Company, sorry. I didn't call ahead," Agent Barton told her. "Hey," she greeted, surprised, and kissed him, which shocked us even more. "Okay. This is an agent of some kind," Mr. Stark tried to reason for the rest of us. "Gentlemen, this is Laura," Agent Barton said. "I know all your names." She pointed at our general direction. Then she saw me and smiled. "Maybe not all. Hi, and you are?" "That's Kira," Agent Barton intervened before I could say anything. "The intern I told you about." "Oh," she said, smiling. She looked so calm and joyful all the time. "It's nice to put a face to the name. I've heard a lot about you." My eyes were wide with surprise. I looked at Agent Barton, who shared his wife's smile, but his was one of amusement. "Good things, I hope." I trailed off, hesitating. He smirked, but before I could get an answer, we heard sounds of tiny and quick footsteps coming closer. "Oh, incoming!" Agent Barton said as two tiny humans, a boy and a girl, ran towards him. "Dad!" the girl said, excited. "I see her," Agent Barton said, picking her up and kissing the top of his son's head, who hugged him tightly. "Hey, buddy. How you guys doing?" "These are," Mr. Stark tried to guess, "smaller agents?" "Oh," Agent Barton said to his little girl, kissing her. "Look at your face. Oh my goodness." "Did you bring Auntie Nat?" the girl asked, hopeful. She was cute, I decided, with her long braids and blue dress. "Why don't you hug her and find out?" Agent Romanoff came out from behind us. The girl jumped and rushed towards her, and she picked her up in her arms. Agent Romanoff, who some minutes ago was just a shell of herself, suddenly came to life. That was nice, to have a way back from all the darkness. I didn't have that. My way back had been kidnapped by the male version of Skynet. All this beautiful family bliss got stuck in my throat. I needed some air. I snuck out, walking towards the door without anyone noticing. Everybody was too shocked by what was happening inside the house to actually notice what I was doing. "Sorry for barging in on you," I heard Rogers say when I was at the door. "Yeah," Mr. Stark added. "We would have called ahead, but we were busy, having no idea that you existed." I went outside, stood on the porch, and took a deep breath. The sky was turning a beautiful lilac as the sun disappeared, and was covered by lines of soft white clouds. Everything else was green. I had never seen that much green, not even in Central Park. Central Park felt fake in comparison, but this was weirdly genuine. It must be nice to live here, I thought. Away from the city, away from everything. Agent Barton must have kept this a secret from S.H.I.E.L.D. if the rest of the Avengers didn't know about his family. Only Agent Romanoff seemed to be aware of them. I guess they were really good friends then. Someone else must have known about them, though. Suddenly, Thor came out of the house as well, followed by Rogers. "Thor," Rogers called with authority, but Thor didn't stop. "I saw something in that dream," Thor stated. "I need answers. I won't find them here." He swung his hammer by the hilt and threw it up, not letting go. That was enough to lift him into the air, and he disappeared into the sky. Rogers stayed there, hands resting on his belt, standing straight as a tree. "I think I'm gonna skip family weekend too," I thought out loud. Rogers looked at me seriously, maybe urging me to explain myself. "Leslie's still out there," I stated. "I need to find her." "How do you plan on doing that?" he questioned. "I'll take the Quinjet, if you can spare it," I said. "I just need to get back to New York. I'll send it back after." "Do you know how to fly it?" he asked. "No," I chuckled. "But I trust the autopilot. Us Zoomers have to trust technology." "That's what got us into this mess," he said bitterly. "I got us into this mess, Captain," I said, calling him by his title for the first time. It caught him by surprise. And me too, honestly. But it felt weirdly natural. Me, Loki Scepter, and wanting to do good. He hesitated. "People can make mistakes, even if they have good intentions," he said. "We have to focus on learning from them and doing better next time." Is he trying to be nice? I thought. "Yeah," I said. "I know." He nodded. "Fly safe," he said. "Who's flying safe?" Mr. Stark said as he came out of the house. He looked around. "Where's Blondie?" "He left," Captain Rogers said, omitting the nickname. "Said he needed answers." Mr. Stark looked confused for a second. Then his eyes met mine, which were apologetic enough that he caught the meaning behind them. "You're leaving too," he assumed. "Leslie," I trailed off, hoping it would be a good enough explanation. He sighed heavily. "Fine," he said, walking towards the Quinjet. He made a gesture so I would follow. I looked at the captain and nodded, maybe wishing him good luck, and I ran behind Mr. Stark. "I want you to call Maria Hill the second you arrive at the tower," he said when I caught up with him. "She'll help you find Les." "And she'll babysit me," I said, reading between the lines. His eyes darted to me. "I just want to make sure you're fine," he said, absent-minded. I frowned for a second. Why on earth did Tony Stark care about what happened to me? When had that happened? I was just an intern. Maybe he cared the same way for any other person on the planet. We got to the plane and he set it up for me. And when everything was ready, we said a quiet goodbye and he abandoned ship. I took off, sitting on the pilot's seat even though I wasn't driving the thing. I just hoped Mr. Stark had set the right coordinates. I could take a nap, I thought. I certainly needed some sleep. Traveling from the States to Africa and back, and the whole business with the witch had left me completely wrecked. I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep, still shaken up from my trip down memory lane. But the second I closed my eyes, I drifted onto sweet oblivion for a while. The turbulence is what woke me up. I could have slept for much longer. I would have welcomed it as well. I sat up, grabbing the arm's rest of the seat. I thought for a second that the plane was going to crash into the ocean, Captain America style. Captain Rogers survived that. I could too, I thought. But then I remembered Captain Rogers was a superhuman, and I wasn't even sure if I was over the ocean. I had to remind myself that turbulences were nothing to worry about. They were just air in a weird position. But then I realized that the reason the plane was shaking so badly wasn't because of normal changes in the air on my way, but because a huge ship was appearing in front of me, and I was getting closer to it. Its powerful engines roared wildly, and against them, the seemingly small Quinjet had no chance. It could only submit to the new currents and shake as if in fear. Why was I getting closer to it? I had no idea. I took hold of the controllers and tried to deviate from the course, to avoid the helicraft, but they were stuck somehow, as if they were being controlled remotely. I realized I was going to land on that helicarrier, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it.